Do you know the story of the Tower of Babel and what happened there and who caused that? Even secular scholars say there's anywhere from 200 to 1,000 years of missing history, and what is known as history doesn't really make sense. Did you know that the current event with masks goes back 100 years to the early 1900s? And this pattern goes all the way back to ancient times? Most, as a descriptive, may only awake to one or several things, but slumber in everything else. Hello, today is October 17th, 2020, and the time is 1:16 p.m. This video is a continuation as well as a standalone video to my last video. And I know this video is going to not only upset a lot of people, it's mostly going to trigger a lot of people with, say, for example, denial. But it has to tie in with knowledge and understanding that I talked about in my previous video, and where this knowledge and understanding actually comes from. And again, this does not state or imply that the Most High does not love or care for his, for example, human creation. Not at all. And the way the world is today, especially a lot of atheists or people who, dare I say, hate the Most High. They say, well, look at the world today, look at all the suffering and pain and everything else. Well, that doesn't come from the Most High. Human beings as a collective have made a choice to separate themselves from him, whereas he offered everything, including protection. And human beings decided no, they're going to do this on their own. And the price of free will is evil, the wickedness that we see in the world today. So before anyone starts pointing the finger at the Most High saying, well, this is all his fault or he can prevent it, well, yeah, sure he can. But what have human beings done to accept what he has offered? Anyway, what I'd like to do here in this video is talk about something that a lot of people, especially Christians, are in denial about. And there's a term that's used, and as soon as I say it, a lot of people are going to be clicking off. And you know something? If you want to turn off the video and go somewhere else, I don't care. And I see a lot of people subscribe and unsubscribe because I'm sure they come across something that just doesn't sit with them. Okay? Whatever. So there's a thing called, for example, the Mandela effect. And a lot of people, whether they're atheists or not, they see there's something going on here, and there is. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is some sort of modern technology like CERN or something like that. Well, no, it's not, because this, whatever is going on, these changes, and there's changes and residuals of changes and changes of changes, and sometimes changes go back to the way they were before, and there's not enough information to conclude if what is remembered is actually the original, what it's supposed to be, or simply from a previous change, whatever. But this has been talked about all the way back to ancient times using a different descriptive. And we see changes from the micro to the macro level, from social to personal changes. And a lot of people can't wrap their heads around it. People who have accepted, yeah, there's something going on, are still trying to figure it all out. But it's not unique to this time, and this is key. Now, one of the examples that I use is, well, let's just stop here for a second. I want to give some, I want to say earthly examples of these changes, just for anyone who's not even aware of what I'm talking about. For example, when you look at the JFK assassination, one of the things there is how many people were in the car. Were there 4 or were there 6? Now you can answer that to yourself, and then if you look into it, there's actually residuals showing 4. But a lot of changes have occurred, and there's plenty of other changes, including land masses and all this other craziness. And I know this is like in the realm of woo-woo, but just I don't care. But these things have been talked about all the way back to ancient times. Now let's just kind of fast forward a little bit here. And one of the examples I use is artifacts found in, say, for example, solid granite. And we see pickaxes, watches, and there's even an example of a human foot in a boot. Now, I focus on this example specifically because there's something to this example that we have a timeline. It fits in a timeline. And they found this in granite, solid granite, that's supposed to be millions, billions, zillions of years old, right? Well, the tag on the boot dates the manufacturer to the late 1800s to the early 1900s. And there's a human foot in it, in solid granite. Now, it's not so much finding these artifacts that is the focus here. It's what event or events have taken place with no recollection or record of. Okay? Now, on a side note, I think it was around the mid or late 2000s, there was all these shoes with human feet inside of them washing up on the west coast of North America. Hundreds of them. And nobody could really figure out what's going on. And if I'm not mistaken, it was specifically only the left foot. So, I don't know. It's just something bizarre. I know there's, over the years, people have tried to explain it away, but nothing really makes sense. So, we see these kind of events, setting aside from other kind of changes related to, as a descriptive, the Mandela effect, we see these other things happening, but there's no record of it. This is further supported by a topic which people who talk about this seem to kind of go off on the deep end. And for those of you who think that this topic is on the deep end, well, a lot of people who talk about what I'm about to mention goes even deeper off the deep end. I think they lose, what I mean by that, they lose track of reality, because whatever. Anyway, this has to do with what's called mud fossils or something, and they're finding all sorts of crazy evidence, trying to say, well, yeah, this kind of ties into this topic, but sort of. Well, when you look at, there's a YouTuber who I came across a long time ago. And it's interesting. And there's a video actually where he's looking at old maps, like from the 1700s and stuff, of North America, for example, and they're describing on these maps regions that there's already these glorious cities and stuff here in North America. And I guess what he's kind of uncovering is that there was previous civilizations that we're building on top of, and there's evidence of this. This is the even secular mainstream people are finding, yeah, we're building on top of old cities and everything else. and we're incorporating a lot of as a descriptive these ancient cities into our culture. So it's actually a very fascinating thing to look into. And if you're not open to expanding your knowledge base, and kind of ironic that I say that because of where knowledge comes from and wisdom and understanding and everything else, but if you're not interested, then really don't care. But it all ties into this Mandela thing, because what events have taken place where where we're rebuilding from the start, like we're starting all over again, and there's no record or recollection of whatever was before. And now a lot of people, and I'm going to tie this in, for example, with the Egyptians and the pyramids and everything that's over there. A lot of people say the Egyptians built the pyramids. Well, no. There's actually, when you want to confirm some facts, what you need to do is look at independent sources, related, unrelated, direct, indirect sources. And when you look actually throughout history, what other regions around them were saying, well, yeah, those things were around, and the people who call themselves Egyptians came across them and simply adopted whatever structures were around into their culture, and they tried to even modify it. And this is where we see crude carvings beside magnificent detail work. Anyway, and when you look at Baalbek and all these other things where they have these huge stones that are weighing millions of tons and everything else, it's like, well, who did all this stuff, right? So this all ties into this Mandela thing and changes of changes and no record of anything and all this other stuff. Everything ties in together. Now, are human beings supposed to know what's going on? Well, when you look back to human origins, no, but there's definitely something going on. And if you have any interest in understanding, for example, the meaning of life and who you are and your role in life and everything else, you really need to start exploring all these things, because the answers are right there. They've just been suppressed. And a lot of mainstream contributes to the suppression of this knowledge. A lot of people are saying, well, yeah, it's all hidden knowledge, and the elites, they know all this stuff and everything else, and it's almost like they're talking with some jealousy there, no humble heart. But the thing is, though, if you're not willing or able to explore and investigate these things, then yeah, it's on you that why you don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to really just kind of summarize all this, tie it into with my previous video, give you something to think about. And that's all I'm really doing, is giving you something to think about. And I've said a few videos back, there's no waking anyone up from any position. Either you see something or you don't. All you can do is enforce with those who are aware of things. Let them know that they're not alone, and assure them not to take the easy road, stick their head in the sand, and become like the rest. So really, that's what all this is about. And you see a lot of people in different groups on different topics, who they think that they're waking people up, and they're really not. They're just really, it almost appears that they're all venting. Everyone's venting. And then this ties into a video where I talk about there's NPC types on all sides. Anyway, that's all I really want to say. Think about it. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.